The new Super Mario series has a rocky reputation with gamers. The series started on the Nintendo DS as a fun callback to the good old days with Mario and the then limited gang by giving us an old school romp. It sold a few copies, seemed to sold enough for it to become a series as you do, and people were fine with that for a single game after for some reason. It seems Nintendo released too many too soon as people soured on the entire thing pretty quickly. That didn't stop Nintendo from releasing the last one they made again. New Super Mario Bros. U launched on the Wii U on November 18th, 2012, and it seems not enough millions of people bought the game due to being on the Wii U, so now it has been giving another lease on life on the Switch. It does come over with some new bells and whistles, but is it enough? Was Mario's first HD outing worth the trip over, or are people not really missing much without it? Before we get into any Switch-specific features, let's talk about the game itself. First up is the story, which is to say, there is none, really. It's a Mario game, and a retro-styled one at that, so you all know the deal. Bowser wrecks you all and holds Peach hostage in her own castle after tossing you all away. Thus begins your classic adventure of princess chasing, something I know all too well. There's literally nothing else to it, so little in fact that it doesn't even try to surprise you at the end like some of the other Mario games at the time did. It's so basic that I'm sure it was offended you even asked if it wasn't basic. This is a wholesome family game, damn it, no transforming skeleton turtle dragons here. Moving away from that thrilling story of love and loss, we come to what the new Super Mario Bros. Series is all about. The gameplay. Thankfully, the gameplay is up to snuff with what 2D Mario is offering. In fact, it's the same as what 2D Mario is always offering. You start with moving around on an overworld map, similar to Mario Bros. 3 on NES and World on SNES, or the other new Super Mario Bros. Games, and select from the levels on offer for you. Once inside the levels, you move and jump from left to right or down to up in order to make it to the flag or boss at the end of the stage. Pretty basic stuff. You'd think that they perfected this style of gameplay a couple decades ago or something. The big draw to a Mario game, however, are the power-ups, and it's safe to say that they are all here and perform how you'd expect. Returning from previous games, mostly previous New Super Mario Bros. Games, are the Mushroom, giving you an extra hit before death, the Fire Flower, which lets you shoot fireballs in a bouncing arc in front of you, the Ice Flower, which is just an ice version of the Fire Flower and freezes enemies solid, and the Propeller Mushroom, which gives you a giant jump and slows your fall, and the Mini Mushroom, which shrinks you and lets you run up walls. New to this game is but a single power-up, the Acorn Mushroom, which gives you the Flying Squirrel Suit. The Flying Squirrel Suit allows you to get a second jump and slows your descent, kinda like the Propeller Mushroom, just a little weaker, and it lets you latch onto walls. Along the way, you collect coins and 1-ups like any decent 2D Mario platformer, but the new Super Mario games also include star coins, which act as collectibles. Not to spoil the fun, but there is a reward for collecting them all. Now, is it reasonable to actually collect them all? That's up to you, champ. For me, it wasn't. Some of them were placed in places God never intended for them to be, and I, frankly, am not up to the task. Other than the basic things, the new Super Mario Bros. Games all added red coins and blue coins to each course. Hopping through either a red or blue hoop activates them and gives you a short period of time to collect them all for a reward. The reward typically equates to a power-up or a 1-up, but they can be worth it to attempt. Not to mention, it's human nature to try and grab all the coins. It's just instinct at this point. Now, you'd expect me to not need to talk about this basic stuff about a Mario game, but I'm being thorough, so sue me. Let no one say that I never explained a Mario game in a Mario review. The controls are classic, the feel is classic, and the gameplay itself is classic. It's Mario. You played one, you played about 20 of them anyway. So I explained the basic thing that even a capybara vacationing on Pluto would know about a Mario game, but how is the level design? A plumber is only as good as a level design, and while it plays it safe, New Super Mario Bros. U is well designed. All the levels have their own mechanics, and each world has its own theme, and it all just flows together as well as you'd expect. Sadly, there's nothing new on display here, it's all just down to how much you like 2D Mario. There are plenty of stages, plenty of worlds to enjoy, and some stages even have their own secret exits like Mario World did, so there's plenty to do. While some stages do get fairly tough, the game is never overly difficult, making it a good fit for younger gamers as well. The game can also be played multiplayer, which is a big new feature for New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and each player controls a different character. The original characters from the Wii U version are here, Mario, Luigi, and a yellow Toad, but the Switch version adds some more, which we'll get into a bit later. While fun, the multiplayer can actually make things a bit tougher as you can pick each other up and stop each other's jump, so beware. Back in 2012, this was Mario's first foray into HD gaming, and it does show. The game looks great when not looking at Mario and his friends. The stages are vibrant, colorful, and full of sterile life, and all look great in HD. That said, the game's art style is fairly bland, hence the sterile comment, holding it back from what it could be. The character models for Mario and his friends are quite simple and even look like up-resed Wii models, which isn't that great, but they get the job done. Same can be said for the music. Nothing is overly stand out, but it's fun and the stages going with the music is a nice touch, even still. Overall, it looks nice, but it doesn't look amazing. It's more the color that does it. Included in the game is a new Super Luigi U expansion / standalone game that was released a bit later on Wii U. This is basically a time trial remix version of the game. It has the same worlds and amount of stages, but each stage is much more difficult and you are in a rush with only 100 seconds given to make it to the end. Not only that, Luigi has been inhaling his helium again and regains his wacky, floaty, high jumping and low traction shoes that he became known for. This makes levels more interesting, but also more difficult as it changes up the feel of the game. It also mixes things up Super Mario World style by adding more secret exits and hidden paths, more so than the main game anyway. Switching between the two is bound to tie your brain in a knot, so do so at your own risk. Other than that, it has the same visuals and gameplay outside the control changes, so if you liked Mario Bros. U, you should like Luigi U as well. It's a fun shake-up, and it's nice to see Luigi chasing some princesses for a change. Always nice to see him in the limelight. If you want a more challenging game, this is for you. It's time to bring up the big topic, new Switch content. Let's face it, this is another Wii U port that Nintendo is selling for full price, so I'm going to hope that there is some kind of incentive for people to buy again. Well, there is some new content, but I'm not sure it's really worth rebuying. Other than the two games being bundled into one, which they did eventually do on Wii U, there are two new characters, Toadette and Nabbit. At first, this might not seem like much, but this is the exact same thing they did with the Switch port Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That port added Funky Kong, which made the game considerably easier, which is fair because that game can be a bit bonkers at times. And the new Switch port of Mario Bros. U did the same thing. Both Mario Bros. U and Luigi U have access to Toadette and Nabbit, and you can select to play as them while playing single player even, and they make the game way easier. Toadette controls significantly better than the other characters, even underwater, allowing her free movement instead of just bobbing up and down, and offers her a unique power-up in the way of the infamous Super Crown. Once you pick up the Super Crown, Toadette becomes Peachette, a smaller version of Princess Peach, and can float much like Peach can in the game she's playable in. It's a pretty powerful power-up, and is generally pretty appealing. Hey, as long as Mario and friends don't just cheap out and save Peachette and call it a day, eh? On the subject of Nabbit, this is when things go a mile too far. Nabbit is much closer to Funky than Toadette was, and the game still needs to be completed when playing as her. Playing as Nabbit is much closer to using a shotgun to kill a fly. Nabbit can't pick up any power-ups, but he can just ignore every enemy ever. No enemies can hurt him. The only thing that can kill him are pits, and collecting power-ups gives you 1-ups at the end of the stage. You pick Nabbit when you don't actually want to play. The new characters actually hinder one aspect the game held in high regard, its multiplayer. When playing multiplayer in the Wii U version, there were the 4 characters to play as: Mario, Luigi, and the 2 Toads. Each character played the same and were all just a cosmetic difference, which is how it should be. Here in Deluxe, 2 of the 5 characters to choose from greatly alter the gameplay as discussed prior. The big problem is that when playing 4 players, one player will always hold the advantage over everyone, the power of life and death if they dare to pick Nabbit. Now this won't be a problem for a group of friends goofing around as you do, but for any group wanting to have a no-nonsense, intense gaming session with Mario and friends, they'll be sorely disappointed. The gall of Nintendo. Other than the new characters, the only other real difference between the Switch and Wii U version is the resolution. The Wii U displaying at 720p and the Switch displaying it at 1080p, which is a plus but kind of expected. Basically, this is as basic as Tropical Freeze, but Tropical Freeze isn't a stale piece of bread, so they've got me there. Overall, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is a solid game to add to the Switch's library, but if you happen to own both of these on the Wii U, there's nothing for you here. Unless you value portability in your games, you are better off sticking with the versions you own. As far as this being a years-old game ported to a new system for full price, there's still plenty of content here. It's not the same levels of quality as Tropical Freeze is, but what's here is solid. The level design and gameplay is all fun, barring the star coins from hell, and the addition of Luigi U is probably one of the better bonuses in a game like this. All of its flaws are the same flaws the game had back in 2012. Sterile art style, a feeling of being a recycled game, and general safeness. That being said, if you're looking for some classic Mario gameplay and you played the hell out of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World, this is a good choice. It won't light your world on fire, but it should sate your platforming thirst. Game's good, but unexciting, bro. Meaning I toss it a reluctant 7 out of 10. Would cautiously recommend it.